Well, guys, we're about to land the plane on 2020, and it has been a year. Most of us have suffered in some way, and some folks have suffered an enormous amount. I pray you're not one of those guys, but I suspect there are some among your group that have had a lot of pain this year, and I'm sorry. It's been a tough year on marriage. It's been a very hard year on marriage. Divorce rates are up, separations are up. The work from home thing, the isolation thing, the quarantine thing has been hard on a lot of relationships that were shaky to begin with. And so as we begin to land the plane on 2020 and look to a new year and a fresh start, I share with you about a fellow who liked to collect cars. And he was looking for a 1982 yellow Camaro to add to his classic car collection. And so he looked at Auto Trader and he looked at Craigslist. He looked around everywhere he could. And he finally came across one. It said, like new, 1982, bright yellow Chevy Camaro, $50. He thought, well, it must be a typo or something. And so he called up the owner and she answered the phone. He said, hey, you got a car? You got a Chevy Camaro? And she said, yeah. And you want to come take a look at it? He said, yeah. So he drives across town. He pulls up into her driveway, and it's sitting out in the driveway. Ooh, nice, sweet car, man. Ooh, 82 Camaro. Those are nice. So she says, you want to take a test drive? He says, yeah. So he takes it out for a little spin and has a little Ferris Bueller good time there for a few minutes. And he comes back and she says, what you think? He says, I think that's a great car. How much is it? She says, $50. He goes, really? $50. So he writes her a check for $50. She signs over the title and he goes, I kind of need to know, is this car stolen? What's the deal? Why are you selling this car to me for $50? She said, oh, that's easy. My husband cheated on me and ran away with his secretary. And he sent me a letter and he said, hey, please sell my car and send me the money. Think about that for a second. Sometimes it takes fellas a minute to get that one. I share that with you at the end of 2020 because forgiveness is hard. In a marriage, remarkably, as we've talked about before, you married a human being. And she is wonderfully imperfect. And she married a human being. And you are wonderfully imperfect. The most important word in a marriage is not love, it's forgiveness. And as we come to the end of a hard year, what's one thing from this year that you really need to be able to forgive, to let go, to release? Because that's what forgiveness does. Forgiveness doesn't cling on to something and wait for a moment of revenge. We're not passive aggressive. Forgiveness doesn't retaliate, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Forgiveness absorbs the pain, acknowledges the pain, and releases the pain. That's what forgiveness does. It doesn't ignore the pain. It doesn't deny the pain. Forgiveness is not a doormat. Forgiveness requires the strength of a spiritual redwood to acknowledge the pain, absorb the pain, and instead of putting it back on or clinging onto it, release it. So odds are this year has put a few strains on you, maybe in your work life, maybe in your financial life, and probably in your family life and marriage life. What's one area where forgiveness needs to occur, and how can you do that between now and December 31 so that you begin 2021 anew? The most important word in a marriage, it's not love, it's forgiveness. And forgiveness is hard because we like to hang on to those resentments and just wait for that moment to retaliate like the woman with the Camaro. Time to release. Have a great New Year's, guys. Talk to you soon.